Texas Wesleyan finds itself in need of a new head coach, and here we are in February. Speaking of that, by the way, Langston is now 96 days without a head coach, and that number continues to climb. Oh, by the way, Grandview is not going to be the only football team playing NAI football in 2026 that's coming off an undefeated championship season. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more here tonight on College Football This Week, so thank you very much for joining us. I'm Joey McWilliams along with Doug Gann, and we will go ahead. We don't like to bury the lead around here. We want to talk about the other person that is on screen with you, and tonight our head coach is from Taylor, Upland, Indiana, the Taylor Trojans. Coach Aaron Mingo, thank you, sir, for stopping by and joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joey. It's always a pleasure.
Well, it is. It's a privilege to get to visit with you, and I have enjoyed the times we visited before. They've been preview shows, so now let's recap just a little bit. Let's talk about 2025. It's in the rearview mirror. Well, the calendar and everything says it's in the rearview mirror, but the 2025 season, another winning season for Taylor, and it had been a while since the program had had back-to-back winning seasons like this, 7-4 in 2025. Can you tell us a little bit about the year?
Yeah, it was a year that I think just is more examples of where our program's at, and the fact that I think I mentioned this a few years back to you that I thought we were turning a corner on the field and establishing and kind of a new benchmark with how we compete and winning was going to become probably a little bit more of an expectation for us and we've always looked at winning as a byproduct, but we feel like we're in a spot where even though it's a partial controllable, it's something that we hold loosely, is not our ultimate end-all be-all pursuit. We are in a spot as a program where I think now it's an appropriate expectation that when we step foot on the field every Saturday, we're capable of coming out on top, and we know that, and certainly that sets a tone, I think, for everything we do as a program, and last year was a year that I haven't honestly thought about it for a while, so I appreciate the question. You're so focused on the task at hand and where we're currently at the off season, but 7-4, you mentioned the record, and in every game last year we had scored 35 or more points, which is the first time in my career I've ever experienced that. It's a pretty rare feat in college football to be at that spot where every game on your schedule you're able to hit that type of level of offense. Which is really exciting. But we had 4 losses still, and normally when you're scoring that many points, you don't lose that many games, and some of that is we had some possessions offensively that we could have done better, and some of it obviously is there's some possessions we'd like to get some stops on defense that I think would ultimately allow us to win some of those games, and all 4 of our losses last year we had a chance to win the game in the last possession, so they were 4 very heartbreaking losses that are difficult when you lose them right at the very end. But at the same time, any gap that once existed in our conference and on our schedule from our program and other ones that we played, that seemingly is gone now. And we're I think have established ourselves as a really competitive team. I don't believe our program's ever overlooked anymore in the mid-states, and we're starting to get, I think, other people's best shot. Which is exciting and will continue to sharpen us as we move forward.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And, it's a lot like 2024 and maybe even more so because you all were playing, without question, meaningful football in the month of November. And so, every Saturday there was an opportunity that was there for the Trojans, to continue on with the season. I want to go back to something that you said right off the bat and talking about, well, this is what the record is and wins are important. And with that in mind, 9-2 in 2024, and it was the biggest turnaround from 23 to 24. You all had +7 on the win total. So it was the biggest turnaround in NAI and pretty much in a lot of college sports or college football in particular. 7-4 in 2025. Is that on paper? It's a setback, but what do you take for that for your program?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned before, I think it just is a demonstration, or I guess some proof that our program is really solidified itself in a good spot where able to follow up a very competitive year with another one. and I think you can expect out of Taylor football that it's going to be a very competitive game, no matter who we're playing, and we have a chance to win, no matter who we're playing in the country now is what we believe. And yeah, like I mentioned, that there was, even though a 9-2 season, we had a game on that schedule where we'd lost a game by quite a large amount, and it still seemed like there might have been a gap with one of the teams on our schedule, and you look at the point differential now. The next year we lose more games, but they're of the closer variety, and they're games where we know we have a shot right at the end to win them, and we fall short and run out of time. And so, I don't look at it as a setback. I would imagine there might be some that do that. I mentioned this to you when we were 2-9 that you look at the record and it's like, man, that's really, really poor, and it's nobody was happy with 2-9 by any means, or felt like that's where we should have been. But I looked at that year. It was like, I don't think it's as bad as what people are feeling or sensing. I can see the signposts of progress in our program. I can see that we're playing better football. I can see that we're more aligned. I can see what's around the corner, and the winning is going to eventually happen. And then the next year we go +7, more wins in the season. And so, and you mentioned earlier, it's been a while since Taylor's had back-to-back winning seasons, and we're it's a cool place to be, and our school's really excited about it. It's kind of neat that as I sit, our guys in our program, we don't talk much about that. Our guys are just very focused on tomorrow's training session, and continuously building and trying to steward their gifts with the best they can, and loving each other well, and continuing to improve. And that's our focus point. And I think we're a program that's done a really good job of fixating on process over outcomes, and these outcomes that you talk about. I don't think they're going to go away from a positive standpoint. I think you're going to continue to see it happen well for us. How many wins is that year to year? None of us know. But we want to just continue to maximize our potential and continue to build.
Coach, just first of all, a pleasure to meet you. As of course it is. You talked in that last question about your guys and about your work and about your training. How special has it been being able to have Coach Josh beside you the entire way through all of this, and being able to build this together?
Yeah. Did you say Coach Josh?
I did, Coach Flannery. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Coach Flannery, because so Coach Flannery and I go way back. We played together at Greenville University, and he was actually in my wedding, and our wives were actually college roommates. And so, you don't get to coach with a guy that you consider your best friend very often, but that's what we have. And he was pivotal when I accepted the position at Taylor. He was a pivotal, maybe the most mission critical piece as far as the staff goes, as far as I was concerned, because I knew who he was. I know how, like-minded and like-hearted we are, and how much alignment would naturally happen. And the guy is a fantastic recruiter. And even more important than that, I think when it comes to the discipleship that exists within our programs and our program and the discipleship model, he's the best I've ever been around, and has a heart for pointing people towards Jesus. And that's real essential to what we're doing. And he's a really good football coach too. So it's been awesome working with him, and we have a lot of fun. Talk about it often, how thankful we are that we get to do this together. And he certainly has been a big part of the reason of why I think we've had so much success.
I think that's what embodies the spirit of NAIA football as well, because every week when we talk to a different coach, there's a story like that, and there's a bond like that, that this is more than about it. Yes, wins and losses and are of uber importance. That's what the measurement is based off of. But you guys are doing more with these young men for Christ than I think that they would get. And man, that's the key to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our first pillar in our program is a term that we call it God glorifying. That's the term that we throw around to describe what we're going for. And I talk about this stuff often with our program, but more important than talking about it, it's actually living it out. And so when people are around our program and they watch us compete, or they're around our guys, it doesn't take long for people to realize, like, these guys are in relationship with Jesus Christ. These guys are in very intentionally ways. Like there's discipleship that's taken place. There is, in very intentional ways, there's service that's taken place. Our entire philosophical framework is we would call it a biblical framework for what we're doing. We want to do football according to the word of God, by the power of God, for the glory of God. And, this an example of that would be, a few weeks ago, we were in Costa Rica with 54 of our players on a week-long missions trip again. And, missions trips in themselves don't make your football program Christian. I think sometimes, when people try to ask, well, what makes your program a Christian program or God glorifying football? Let's talk about it. It almost feels like it cheapens it if we start to give them the list of the Christian activities that we do. And I would say, to try to understand what we're doing, it's like, at the very heart of what we're doing, we're aiming for God's glory over our own. We're aiming for playing this game and living life based off a purpose that is in surrender over to His will, versus like the idea of like, I'm just going to go after my own glory, after what I want out of life, and which is what culture tells us to do. And so the very essence of why we exist and what we're doing is Scripture serving as the ultimate authority, relationship with Jesus Christ, constantly standing in front of these guys and pointing them back to the cross, constantly standing in front of these guys and just pointing them back to truth, and trying to give them perspective and true, I think, and an aim for true life and heart change. And one of the dynamics at Taylor that's unique is every one of our players claims to be a Christian, and we recruit to that. And so there are some schools, and this is very much needed, that are more of what I would call the evangelism type of schools, right? Where they're exposing people to the gospel. And that is a absolute necessity. We got to have schools like that. We're on the other end of the spectrum where everybody that we recruit claims to be a Christian. And so we're from day one, when I stand up in front of the team and I pull up Scripture for why we do what we do, or why we feel the way we do, it's like, well, you guys agreed this is what's important to you in life, and it's hard to argue with what the Word of God says. And so that's our aim with what we do. And after doing this for at Taylor for the last 5 years, what's really happening now is we've got multiple recruiting classes stacked on top of each other that have been recruited with this being the leading message. We've got incredible alignment within our program. Our coaching staff we've got incredible staff continuity. And we actually have players now that are able to really lead the charge when it comes to discipleship within our program, which is a very unique thing. And we're at an institution where, it doesn't take long to be at Taylor to understand the very heart and core of Taylor University and its mission is really just to continue to advance the kingdom and to bring God glory. And so it's a pretty cool dynamic we've got going on. We certainly believe in it. We know it's not for everybody, but it's what we feel called to do. And it's been awesome to just be able to worship God on the football field and share that with the guys.
I absolutely love it.
Coach, let me go back to the field a little bit. And I was glad that you shared about the Costa Rica trip, because the last time we visited, you had said that was going to take place in January. So I was looking forward to hearing if it had come through and how that went. So it sounds like it was a successful and everything went like it was supposed to. You on the football field, you mentioned 35 points a game last year, and another really, I think, very impressive stat: nearly 500 yards of total offense a game, and that includes 300 yards per game, right at 300 yards per game on the ground. Now, we talk a lot about Friends' rushing game here on the channel, and rightfully so, because, the Falcons' ground game is just pretty impressive. I think the Trojans' ground game has been very impressive as well. Talk about that part of the game for you.
Yeah, well, we actually averaged 48.5 points a game. We just had hit that 35.
I'm sorry, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from the stats, Coach. We need to recruit properly and get the numbers out there.
Well, yeah. It was pretty it's pretty incredible what the guys are doing and what's going on right now offensively. And the year before it was really kind of the similar same type of level of offensive production. And so, yeah, it's been really cool to see that. I got a chance to watch Friends in the playoffs, and man, they are doing such a fantastic job there. And I have a lot of respect for what they're doing. And it's fun to watch them run the ball. And, we know that it starts with, having an offensive line that can dent the defense. And right now we've got an incredible nucleus, and 4 of those 5 starters are back again. And so we've this group has been just special to coach. I get the luxury of coaching them myself, and they make it pretty easy on me, and they do a great job of, I think, opening up seams for our running backs, and that's where our rushing attack starts. We're an option attack out of the gun, but it really, it starts with, can we hand the ball off and stay on schedule? And when we do that, like most teams in college football, you typically win those games. And when you can't do that, you typically have a hard time winning those games. And that's where it begins for us. And I love the physicality of an option attack. And we go out of the gun because we want to be able to throw it a little bit more. And I don't want to be a one-dimensional offense, but certainly it begins with that ability just to hand the ball off and dent the defense there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Doug. Can I follow really quickly?
Yes, please.
In light of that, since you said you had a chance to watch friends play, and you mentioned going out of the gun some, not to give away state secrets or anything like that, but since there is so much of a primary rushing attack, and I realize all football is assignment football, but people talk about the option game being very much assignment football. How are there comparisons to your offense to what you saw from friends, or is it just a totally different take on it, but still a ground game?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some similarities. I think the base run scheme that you're doing, if you're to say what your core play is, most option guys would, they'd say their triple option is their core play. Friends isn't just running that play, just like we're not just running triple option. The blocking scheme from that, ours is more zone, theirs is more veer. From what I was gathering, the way the quarterback, his rules are going to be very similar, but then some of the technique aspects are going to be different because of coming under center and attacking the edge versus coming from the gun. There's a little bit more depth there. The way you read a defender and the effect of the under center stuff versus a gun on the defender, I think those are two different things. I think what I love about under center stuff is it makes it. You want to talk about the most downhill offense in the that I know of it's that, right? Like, it is literally 3.5, 4 yards in a cloud of dust, or in Friend's case, it's like 7 yards in a cloud of dust is what it felt like watching them this season. And they have an incredible dynamic quarterback as well, is what I noticed. And they've done a really good job recruiting, and then they paired it up with a stellar defense. So they were really tough. But yeah, in our attack, defensive ends, I think, can have a little bit more success of actually slow playing you. And so we have to be very good with our complementary plays because that's, when you go from pistol, it's the timing of that hits the line of scrimmage just a little bit slower than what those under center guys do. And then our quarterback, attacks the edge with just a little bit different of an angle. And so, but there's some definite similarities there. I'm sure they would say the same thing. Like, I love the fact that, when we call a triple option play, it is a play that, in the words of Tony DeMeo, has strategic flexibility. I love that term. And what that's getting to is we call a play, and that literally is a play that is going to take advantage of what the defense is doing post-snap. So it's not like a pre-snap audible. It's a post-snap, reading of the defense. You're choosing which defenders not to block in the first place. And then literally you're taking advantage of what they're doing and all post-snap. And then obviously you have three options that can get the football. And you can stretch the whole width of the field when you do that. So, I think those are some of the similarities in the way I see it, but there's some definite intricacies that are different.
My question, Coach, went back to the recruiting side of it, and you can tell what your priority is because you look up and down the Taylor Twitter page, X page, and it's just big offensive linemen, big linemen are making these commitments to there. When you reach out to a kid, how easy is it to get in there and say, hey, look, we're going to try to run the ball 300, 400 yards a game. And these big offensive linemen are like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, the ones that I like to coach are like that, Doug. I've had guys that when I was at Dort, I would send out questions to our lineman board in the summer. And, one of the questions that I would ask is, like, would you rather pass protect or would you rather run block? Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, like, whenever those guys would respond with, I'd rather pass protect, coach, they typically started to fall down our recruiting board because we need to pass protect, but I'm looking for those guys that have that run blocking mentality, like you're talking about, and really like to have the physical strength and power to actually move people against their will. And that's one of the differences, I think, when you decide to go more zone than veer. some of the angles, you lose some of those that the veer guys have really done a great job of maximizing. So we've got to have offensive linemen that can physically move people against their will at a really high level, or we're not gonna have success. And so our offensive linemen are a little bit bigger than what a lot of veer teams typically do, and they like big guys too. Don't get me wrong. So I don't want to say that, because they want big, powerful guys, and they have big, powerful guys. But I know we have to have that, or we're not going to have the same level of success that those veer option guys have.
Well, look, that's the kind of guy too. When you get that letter back on there, and he likes to run block, that's the ones that you like to get, that looks at the other side of that defense and sees those hands on the hips, and they just bring it up another notch.
Yeah, and they come off on the sideline. They tell me about it too. So sometimes right. I have to remind them, like, hey, yeah, I got it. So no, they do. They love us running the ball. They have our guys operate with such a high belief that, if it's third and short, fourth and short, I mean, we don't need to do anything else. You just call a give, and we're going to get the first down. And I love that they have that mentality. But we also have receivers that have that mentality of, hey, it's game on the line, throw me the ball, coach. And
right.
And we've got some guys that are doing that well too. And so it makes for a pretty dynamic offense.
That's awesome.
Well, Coach, you were talking about the fact that, looking back is a little bit different because you're focused on the moments. Where are you right now in the middle of February, or I guess becoming the late part of February? What's coaching look like for you right now?
Yeah, so tomorrow morning we'll have at 5:50 a.m. we'll have our first lifting group come in, and we're working lifting 4 days a week with those guys, doing some linear speed type stuff. Doing some explosive training with different jumps, and then doing some change of direction as well, sprinkled in throughout the week. We're doing, our football staff is heavy on football study right now, and we've got some actually high school coaches that are coming in at the end of the week, and we'll spend all day with them on Friday talking football, which we get excited about. And then next week we'll start there's a 24-week rule in NAI football of you can actually provide football instruction. And so our calendar for that will actually begin next week, and we'll start doing some small group training with different position groups. We do it a little bit different than what a lot do. We like try to if I work with offensive linemen, I try to work with 2 to 4 at a time in the off season, so you get some really good I think opportunities to develop them and evaluate them, and then just meet them where they're at and with what aspects they need to develop in, and so we take that approach throughout the month of March, and then once we get into April, it's spring football practices.
All right. Is there a spring game on the schedule this year?
Yeah, just inter squad scrimmage with ourselves, but it will be on May 1st.
All right. Wow, May 1st.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Like even though I'm a bigger guy, and I don't like being hot, I also don't like being too cold, and so we push our spring ball back a little bit and try to get in some of that warm weather. I don't know if I'm tough enough to be out in the weather we've recently had.
No, it's presented challenges for everyone. I mean, even Doug down in Louisiana has had some weather issues down there. So
it's supposed to be 20 with a wind chill in the morning here, and it was 80 yesterday. So there's the South for you.
Oh man.
Well, Coach, Doug, did you have anything else for Coach?
No, Coach, I just I appreciate the way that you run your program, and that it's faith first in there, and the abundance of players that are coming in, and no doubt why the success is there. It's your obedience, and just hats off to that, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that.
Coach, I look forward to visiting with you again, June or July, somewhere after May 1st. We'll definitely get the spring game in the books, and we'll talk a little bit more. I know you'll know a little bit more about the team heading into 2026. August 27th is a Thursday night, and that is when the Taylor Trojans are going to take to the field first. A little crossover game in the Mid-States Football Associations. They'll be taking on Olivet Nazarene, and we will have Coach Mingo here on Midwest Sports Net channel a little bit later on. But for college football this week, Coach, thank you so much. It's been a privilege to get to visit with you tonight. We really appreciate you taking time on your Sunday night.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to let Coach Mingo go, and he's in that Eastern time zone right now. So he told us a little bit earlier it may be past bedtime. He's got to get up early for that 5:50.
I didn't know they made one of those in the morning. I thought it was just in the evenings.
Listen, we appreciate you all watching us here on College Football This Week on Midwest Sportsnet and on 446 Sports as well. We'll talk a little bit more about our respective channels in a moment, but please, if you're watching us here on the live show tonight, let us know and go ahead and get into the chat and be a part of the community here on College Football This Week. Tell us where you're watching and what team you might be cheering for. You may be a Taylor Trojans fan, so that'd be pretty cool if you were.
Had our first Louisiana viewer on a week ago.
That's right.
Recall that.
That is exactly right. So we're making some headway into your neck of the woods with college football this week. And you know, that's one of the things too, Doug. The team for which you broadcast, Louisiana Christian, it's not the only NAI team or program in the state of Louisiana, but it's the only one that has a football program.
It's the only one with football because, like you said, the rest of the sports are in the Red River Athletic Conference, and there are four schools in here: LSU Shreveport, LCU, LSU Alexandria, and then Loyola is down in New Orleans. And so there are four teams here that participate in it. Now, LCU, of course, goes out to the Sooner Athletic Conference to play their football because the rest of it's because it's a non-football conference and the Red River Athletic Conference. But yeah, there is a bit of that here, but the football side of it has just been, I won't say an afterthought, but it's basketball heavy, it's baseball heavy, and it's those type of things.
Shout out to Matt, who I mentioned the weather's a little bit colder where he is. You're right, Doug. It's supposed to get colder. It's supposed to be below freezing here, which, in southern Oklahoma, we don't necessarily care for that much, especially into late spring because the plants don't know what to do. And Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet's already been talking about some tomatoes today and what she wants to get out. And those need to get out fairly soon, so we need to not have too much more weather that is below freezing. I don't know what it's like where you are, Matt, but I'm willing to say it's cold. And I will say this really quickly, Matt. There will be a Coach Larson sighting sometime in the very near future on College Football This Week. Just want to let you know that is official. We just don't know officially what day it's going to be. So that's coming up too. Really enjoyed Coach Mingo tonight.
No, he's just great to visit with. And I know, and I say this every week because each one of these coaches, and you've had the luxury of interviewing them multiple times on here, but it's just great. The philosophies are different. The schemes are different, but the core family group of the NAIA, that remains constant throughout.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is. And I one thing I like about the off season, Doug, is that we do get a chance to visit with the coaches a little more from the live perspective, a live stream perspective in all of that. So, it's not something we get to see as often during the regular season. Now, there are a number of coaches that have come on, at least on my channel, during the regular season and visited some, but they have a lot going on. So
there's a lot going on at my door with my dog. There's a lot going on.
That's all right. That is all right. Well, let's get into a couple things news-wise, Doug. All right. First thing is this. Texas Wesleyan, they need a new head coach. And, Doug, it's February 22nd. We have news that broke this past week. Coach Brad Sherrod out at Texas Wesleyan. He's taken the head coaching position at Morehouse State. And that is in the SAIC. It's a Division II program in the South. So congratulations to Coach Sherrod for his new opportunity. And that means now 15 schools are going to have a new head coach coming into 2026. Your take on this first, Doug?
I think it's great opportunities. I hate that it's late in the year like it is, but a new head coach in this late in the season, I think does it maybe start a domino effect where they take somebody, because Tex West is a tremendous program and it's one that certainly it tied for the conference championship and was, the playoff representative out of the Sooner Athletic Conference this year. Tremendous stadium, tremendous fan base. Funky Town is alive. And so I don't know why still, but that they'll get somebody that's really good in there. But what kind of domino effect does that do? Do they pull a coach from somewhere? Do they and does that trickle down? We'll have to see.
Okay, Doug, I did look into that.
Okay.
I looked into Funky Town, and I'm trying to. I'm gonna have to look into it again. I did research that because I knew for you and for me both, we were struggling with hearing that every time we were there. Welcome to Funky Town. You're in Crowley, Texas. I didn't know that Lips Incorporated wrote the song for you, but hey, if that is the case, and I do know a little bit more about it, but I want to make sure I have my facts straight on that one. However, it was a big DJ thing back in the 80s, and they made it popular there. I need to give more information. Yeah, okay, let me throw this up here for Matt really quickly. Yes, there will be a Coach Rock sighting here on college football this week, and you're going to transplant tomatoes around Memorial Day. Wow. Now, is that because you're farther north? I think that might be a factor, because I know that we definitely do tomatoes before Memorial Day.
Good Friday.
Around here.
Good Friday.
So, all right. Yeah, Good Friday, you say?
That's when we put them in. Yep.
It's been a year or two, and we have property that we have not had a garden on before, and we're here now since September of 2020, and so we haven't had a garden out here yet. And I was reminded today of that on the trip back from Oklahoma City. So we're definitely going to make some changes for Texas Wesleyan, though. Doug, let's go back to this for just a moment. And I think you made a good statement on that. There is a trickle down effect. How does this affect the assistant coaches? Because whoever comes in, I mean, there are two ways to look at this. Whoever comes in, are there going to be some assistant coaches that he's going to bring with him from wherever, or if he was a head coach or whatever the case may be? And secondly, for the ones who are there already in Fort Worth, do they still have jobs? And this is kind of late in the year to be trying to find a new place for employment, if not.
So a couple of things that's the question there is, or do they just look internally and bring somebody else up without a search? Because again, you're already in spring practices in a lot of these games. It's hard to pull somebody over from that. Or do you get somebody, now it's a first opportunity for them? And I find it hard to believe that it's a first year head coach that will take over that Tex West program that is so solid. But
if they bring somebody in, if they promote, it could be, promote from within, like you're saying,
and maybe that's their only choice. But they've got a number of people that have been around for a little while. But what's interesting now is 2 vacancies are both out of the Sooner Athletic Conference. That has nothing to do with anything except coincidence, but
it does warrant attention.
Yep.
I mean, it's obviously, and they're 2 totally different situations. Yep. I mean, one right in the heart of the Metroplex in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the other one, I mean, it's close to Stillwater. That's where Langston is. By the way, in case you don't know where it is on the map, if you know where Stillwater is, which is a little bit northeast of the greater Oklahoma City area, am I saying that tongue in cheek? Probably not. But Stillwater is its own place, and it's a nice sized town. But Langston is it's not really a nice sized town. It's a university community, and it's a very wonderful town. It's just not big. And so there are 2 different situations, 2 different scenarios there. And, we mentioned Langston. Man, it's the count is now at 96 days without a coach.
Look,
that's a full 3 months plus.
You can't get there from here. That's that trip that we had to fly into Tulsa and drive over to Langston to get there. So yeah, it's a difficult trip to get, I think, anywhere in Oklahoma, perhaps.
It's not that bad.
But yeah, but the search is on, and I think you had a graphic that related to that. But
do we have a graphic? I think we may have a graphic. Let's check, Doug.
That's what they're still searching.
Still looking. Still looking.
I like it. Looks Waldo.
It looks like that the band is there, though. That's an important thing in Langston. You got to have the band.
Oh, they're very good. They are very,
incredibly good. Incredibly good. You got to have the band there, though. They're still looking, and he might be in that picture, Doug, but he may not.
See? This could be foreshadowing. That's right.
May not be in that picture. I don't know. Who makes those pictures, Doug?
I don't know. But anyway, we jumped around a lot. Tex West, that job is a premier job. I mean, they're an awesome program, and of course you're going to get that leave. I hate that it was this time of the year.
You know what? Let's stay there for just a little bit longer, Doug. First off, it is a premier
That's right.
job, and it's a new job But we've seen, I mean, Kaiser, 6 years, they have a national championship. St. Thomas has done a fantastic job. So they revived football at Texas Wesleyan, and it's relatively new from the football side of it. Do not be fooled. This is right in the middle of Fort Worth. There's money, Doug. There's money. Right. And they do want to take care of their athletic department is financed well. They are playing currently at Crowley ISD, which you and I both know is a fantastic facility, the site of the national championship game in 2025. They are, however, there is construction. I mean, it's underway. They're putting together a football field on campus. And so, I mean, that's part of it. So whoever comes in this coaching position, that's going to be a part of what they do too, is you're looking at fundraising and things like that to keep this construction and the building going to get that facility there, right there on campus in the heart of Fort Worth.
Yep. And look, there's a lot of construction. You saw that big building that was going. There's a lot going on in that area. And when you're recruiting to that, there are a lot of teams that when you talk about facilities that are not as dynamic as what they're playing in now or what they will be playing in. And so it's, there's a lot of expectations coming in for whoever this head coach is going to be. But if I'm recruiting there, I was like, let's just come to the stadium and walk around and look at this is where you're going to be playing. And man, that's awesome tool to have in the tool chest.
Absolutely. Let's take one more note on this too, really quickly, for Coach Sherrod. What a great year, or what a great tenure at Texas Wesleyan. 17-6, I believe his record, makes it to the playoffs, and both years, as a matter of fact, makes it to the playoffs. I there's a lot to be said for that. I think that goes a long way for him getting the D2 job. And it's also, I mean, his stops along the way in his coaching tenure have kind of been 1 year, 2 year stops. And so he's been there, he played Division I football, and he's coached at pretty much all levels from Division I, NAI, everywhere in between, however you see the spectrum lining up as to where everyone is on that. But again, props to him, and congratulations to him for the new opportunity. And we'll see how this pans out for Texas Wesleyan, because this is a great stop, an absolutely great stop.
Interesting question that you brought up about Coach Rod. Is this a 1 or 2 year stop that he's making again and going on? I mean,
that's my question too. I think we definitely want to follow it here. This is college football this week. It's not just NAI, so we'll keep up with that. And I've appreciated getting to know him. The last 2 years, I mean, he's been quite amenable to visit with me when I've been doing preview shows or when I've been on campus as well. 2 or 3 times been there on campus, and definitely reached out and was just great to visit with. And obviously the proof's on the field too, is what he's capable of doing, leading a program.
He will be successful.
All right, Doug. Well, listen, let's go. I'll tell you what. Let's go let's go one more thing news-wise, and this is not breaking news, okay? But it's still, there's a little bit to it. And there are 3 teams entering the field of competition in 2026. That's another 96 right there, Doug. There'll be 96 teams, along with 96 days that Langston's been without a football coach. So 96 is the number of the night. If this were Sesame Street, we'd say this program is brought to you by the number 96. 2 of those 3 teams, one of them is a new program. Mount Mercy, new program there. And I don't know what to expect from that program in the sense, except that the last 2 years have provided us with a blueprint that you don't want. 2 years ago, Simpson came in 0-9 in 2024, 0-10 in 2025, and they now have a new head coach for 2026. Rio Grande comes in, new program, 0-9 in 2025 in their first year. So we have 2 new programs that in 3 years of competition are 0-28. Mount Mercy obviously doesn't want to go that route. So we wish the best for Coach Daniels in there. But the other 2 programs, Doug, they have a little bit of experience. It's just been from different areas. For Andrew, coming in from the junior college ranks, the Fighting Tigers, man, they're 2 years in, and last season were 8-1 overall. What a great season there. And the junior college football, I mean, there aren't that many teams that go. I think there are like 4 or 8. I think it may just be 4 So not everyone that finishes strong in 8-1 is going to make it into the playoffs at that level. But what a great way to come in. And I'll tell you what, I think they're ready for NAI, for full NAI.
Time will tell on that. It is such a difference. I mean, when you jump up into a different level on it, I think it takes a little bit of time to get those recruits in there. I like the success that they've had, and I like the way they've gone about it. But how it translates over to the NAIA, I'll take my best Joey McWilliams role on this, and only time will tell.
It was a privilege to get to visit with Coach Nick Garrett, Dr. Nick Garrett, on the channel a little bit earlier over here on Midwest Sports Net, and I look forward to visiting with them again as they go a little bit more and know a little bit more what this team's going to look like for this year. You know, the other team, though, Doug, is someone who's on Taylor's schedule for 2026, and that is St. Mary of the Woods College, also from the state of Indiana, from St. Mary, Indiana. Of course, Taylor there in Upland. So they're going to see each other this year. And St. Mary of the Wood College, 4 seasons of football, but Doug, it's all been sprint football. Now I'm going to take this as a quote directly from the website sprintfootball.com to make sure if you're wondering what sprint football is, they use NCAA rules just like NAI. And to quote them, sprint football is a full contact intercollegiate varsity sports that has the same rules as regular college football, except that all players must weigh 178 pounds or less. And the league has been in existence since prior to World War II. I didn't even know it'd been around that long. Now I knew the basics. And Doug, that's pretty much it. You just can't have the big guys.
I don't know, and I hate this, but I don't know that I've heard about that, and that troubles me. But I'll know about it next week.
You'll know about. Well, hey, listen, we know more about it now, but the thing about it is, you don't have to know as much because St. Mary of the Woods is going to be playing NAI football. And oh, by the way, St. Mary of the Woods, the Pomeroys were 8-0 last year, undefeated, and won the Midwest Sprint Football League championship. So, Doug, there are going to be 2 teams in the NAI football in 2026 that are coming off of undefeated seasons and championship seasons. How about that?
Let's match them up in week 0.
I like that.
I think that's.
I don't think, man.
I
don't think the Pomeroys are going to go for that right off the bat.
Well, I'm tell you one thing that they're going to have to do right away is recruit some dudes over that 178 mark.
Yeah.
To be able to get in there. But I love the idea of the sprint football. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah, and by the way, if you go to St. Mary's website, they already are talking about their first recruiting class. So they've been bringing in some big boys already, just like you are into the screen there, bringing in big ones.
That's my helper. She's here with me all the time, and she just ducks down behind the name and lays down and sleeps until something goes wrong in the living room and she starts to bark in. But and normally we have 2 of them back here, but the other one's just who knows where she's at.
Well, we appreciate Matt, by the way. No Rotten Tomatoes for Midwest Sports Net in the 446, so that's pretty cool. Appreciate you being on.
We have Matt in the house tonight too because our cupboard is bare.
I'm telling you, Matt, you may be the lone community member that's out here keeping us going tonight. So, man, we appreciate that. That's a lot. And there's still stuff to talk about on February 22nd, which includes, Doug, this. I think it's time to start talking about this and asking this question. I asked it a lot during the summer last year, and I think let's go ahead and ask it right now. Who has the toughest schedule in NAI football in 2026? And I'm going to pitch one to start, okay? I'm going to pitch this one.
Yes.
And I should have had this graphic up there. Forgive me for not having the graphic. We'll try to bring it up next go-around or the next time I'm on. Southern Oregon. Man, I think the Raiders have a case to be made for the toughest schedule in 2026 because their schedule includes, of course, the Frontier Conference West. Oh, by the way, Carroll, by the way, College of Idaho, by the way, Montana Western, Eastern Oregon, program's on the rise. New head coach coming in for Eastern Oregon. The Mountaineers have that in 2026. But they also, when you look at the non-divisional section of their schedule, Montana Tech, undefeated through the regular season last year. Dakota State, who was someone I thought could be, if it's a 24 team field last year. I know we started talking about that here last week. Dakota State's in. I think they had a legitimate argument for being in the 20 team field last year. And Western Oregon, a rivalry school for Southern Oregon, Division II Western Oregon, and Western Oregon last year put it to Southern Oregon. That is one tough schedule, Doug.
It is, but you ask any coach that's out there. Of course, you can't determine your conference, or you can, but that's a whole nother process. But I like the fact that they stacked things up ahead of time, and these guys want to be competed, and that's how you go in there and you recruit these really good athletes, because they want to see where they're tested and how they're tested. And you jumped right out of the chute. You didn't slow roll a tough schedule, did you? At all in talking about it. You talk about Southern Oregon, and theirs has to rank right up there.
Coach Brown, I really appreciate his take on how the program goes up there. Really enjoyed visiting with him last year, and look forward to visiting with him again, and just his outlook and his approach to coaching and his approach to the team. This was a team, by the way, that last year, I mean, there were a couple of bad injuries, and that kept them down. You bring back one of the best running backs in the country in Gunnar Yates, and he just did not have the season, and he was injured early on. Pretty good quarterback play, but just not enough all the way around, and it was a struggle. And Doug, you mentioned you can't say much about the conference you're in, and I thankfully I think the conferences in the NAI they make a whole lot more sense than what's in D1. But injuries happen, and that can just waylay the best laid plans.
It does, but that's the kind of thing that you've got to prepare for full speed ahead and full steam. And yes, the injuries are going to happen, but Southern Oregon, you're going to find a lineup out there that is up to the task of it. And it's going to be interesting to follow them this season and see how they respond to it.
All right. Well, that's my first submission, Doug. You may have another one too, but our first submission here on college football this week for toughest schedule for 2026. Shout out to Randy, by the way, who's got us on in the background. So we'll try to speak a little quietly. We don't want to get Randy in trouble.
We don't want to get him in trouble at work. That's right.
So we'll speak really quietly from there on out. You know what? The biggest part of tonight was getting to visit with Coach Mingo, and I think that's our news for the week. There's not a whole lot more other than the big news out of Fort Worth. That's a big deal. I had a couple of extra points tonight, though, Doug, and I wanted to pitch them your way. Here's an interesting stat, and I try to make sure Doug and I are on the same page when we go on with our lineup for the show, but I want to keep a couple things that I haven't shown him yet to just see his reaction on that. Okay. So here we go, Doug. Bluefield, the Rams, NAI, yes. The Bluefield Rams under Coach Dewey Lusk. I don't know if this is for sure because I don't know every single staff all the way through college football. Getting more and more familiar with all the staffs in the NAIA, staffitis, staffitis. I don't know. Anyway, staffs that's there. Coach Lusk, who is an incredible interview. I can't say enough about that because I could have laughed all the way through that. He's a great interview. I think this is the only staff in college football with two father and son coaches. How about that? You have Coach Dewey Lusk and his son Gil Lusk. Dewey, of course, the head coach. Gil is the video coordinator and running back coach. And then you have Coach Michael Ketchum, the defensive coordinator and linebacker coach, and his son, Matt Ketchum, who is the defensive line coach. Have you heard about that, Doug? Have you heard about that in any situation, two father and son combos?
No, not at all. The closest thing that I've seen is there's a D1 school that last year had two sets of twins on it. So
coaching staff or on the team?
On the team.
Okay.
On the team had two sets of twins on the same basketball team, but not close to father and son. What a special moment that is on both sides of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know of a number of women's basketball teams that have sets of twins. There was a Southwestern Oklahoma, I think, had 3 sets a few years back, and I know Southeastern Oklahoma has 2 sets of twins on the softball team right now. And speaking of football, since that's where we are, Carroll, I believe, recruited a set of twins. I think it's on Carroll's team. I know it's a Frontier Conference team, and I believe it was Carroll that has a set of twins coming in the 26 recruiting class. So,
there you go.
But a father and son like that's kind of neat. Something to keep your eye on because you're not just one, but 2. I can see it one, but that happens regularly, as a matter of fact. Right. But 2 father and son combos on the same coaching staff. That's kind of neat. Here's my final extra point for the night, Doug, as we're wrapping up this first hour, and I think it's going to be our only hour this go round.
Right.
The U.S. men's hockey team beat Canada 2-1 today.
How about that?
USA. I did not realize, Doug, that it had been since the Miracle on Ice.
That's right.
That the U.S. had won in men's hockey, had won gold. And it's been 46 years. And I do remember the Miracle on Ice. And it was a big deal in my house. And I said before last week, I am a huge Olympics fan. Love it. Absolutely love it all the way through. We'll watch the closing ceremonies again here in just a moment with at least one of my kids in there. And U.S. winds up 12-12-9. 12 golds, 12 silvers, 9 bronze for 33 total, second in the overall count. Shout out to the USA and another great showing. And I thought the Olympics this year, there are highs and lows. There's some things you can look at and some people who say things they should probably just keep their mouth shut about. And there are other people that say a lot of things that you could actually point at and say, tell your kids, you should watch that because that was really pretty neat. But for the most part, I think it was well done. I thought that Italy did well. I thought NBC did well. I enjoyed it, but it was nice to see the U.S. men. That was great. Oh, by the way, U.S. women won too.
That's right. So here's a couple of takes out of the Olympics, and I don't want to turn this into an Olympic show, but
it's our extra point now, Doug. It's our extra point. It's fine.
All right, then we can do it. I'm very, very, very disappointed in an athlete that would go somewhere to represent his or her country and then use that platform to bash the one thing that has made you relevant to where you're at. Come on, man. Don't do that. You get your own way home. We're not bringing you back. If you're going to get over there and bash the country, stay. Don't come back if you don't like it that much.
Don't like it. Yeah, no. I completely agree.
I just can't stand. And when they were making statements several Olympics ago or 2 Olympics, however, when it was good, that didn't want to stand up there on the podium when the national anthem was being played, quit representing your country. Quit getting that. Don't do it. Go do something else. If you can't have pride in the country that you're representing, that is putting all of this behind you, then don't go do it. The other thing is I saw an event, and I've only watched one event this entire time just because I was flipping through and there it was. So it was called the Ascent, I guess, and the skiers would take this, I guess it was a strap that would give them traction on their skis and climb up these steps and then ski down and then put it back on and do it again and take it off and ski down for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. But there were a lot of people there watching it.
You know what? Yeah, you're exactly right. You are exactly right. And it's funny too because some of those guys, they're the guys in the skis uphill can do a 6-minute mile in skis going uphill.
That's right.
Doug, ways. I'm not sure. I can tell you certainly I cannot do a 6-minute mile going downhill without skis. In my car, maybe.
These guys,
it's
look,
so impressive.
It was great, but I don't look. Man, there are a number of things I don't think should be sports in the summer or the Winter Olympics because I don't think this is how the integrity. But there's not a soapbox big enough for me to get on right now and start talking about that. But it's a world that's got esports getting scholarships to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
What am I to say?
It's a different world. All right, let me throw this one up here really quickly. And I knew this, Matt. I did know this, and I'll tell you how I knew this. If you've seen the channel, I had a chance to interview one of Coach Harris's daughters recently, Kennedy Stormer, who is a mom, a wife and mom who is playing on that team, and she's leading the Frontier Conference in scoring. Coach Harris has 3 daughters on that team. That is really pretty cool. Actually, very pretty cool. Okay, let's wrap this up, Doug, because we have a little bit different take for next week.
Yes.
And for actually, as we start March, our final Sunday night in February, next week I will be doing. I've had the privilege of getting to PA for Southeastern basketball lately. It's been so much fun to get to do that. I'll be doing PA for Oklahoma City for a dance competition next Sunday. And then the Sunday following that, I'll be on the call for Great American Conference basketball. It'll be Championship Sunday in Fort Smith. So I'm a little bit out of pocket. Doesn't mean I may not be able to make an appearance on the show, but Doug is going to be taking over. And he's going to,
That's big shoes to fill.
Yeah, well, at least 9 or 9.5, something like that. I don't know. But yes, so I look forward to, I hope to be able to pull over the car on the drive home and at least make an appearance on the show. But Doug's going to have some guests, and college football this week will be in fantastic hands. And I'm pleased and privileged to have Doug as my partner and co-host and just a broadcast guy on with me now here on College Football This Week. And just want to give you all a heads up. So that's a programming note, but we should have some more videos on Midwest Sportsnet this week. Doug, you have a lot going on 446 Sports as well.
We do. We've got a lot of softball, a lot of baseball still going on. The playoffs are here for basketball. We're doing a girls basketball playoff game. I told you the high school team that I covered last year in softball that we did, they won the state championship. And tonight at our show that we do a coaches show every other week for the softball and baseball teams, presented me with a state championship ring, which I thought was just
that's so cool.
It floored me. But we'll do a lot of, in this transition time, we're still doing basketball, but we're transitioning to softball and baseball. And it's hard to believe that this is a final season before summertime is here.
Yeah.
And it's too, if you guys have not jumped on and followed, Joey, I know you don't do a lot on Facebook. The bulk of what you have is your YouTube, but we're 14 followers away from 15,000 on our Facebook page, and would love you to jump over there and give that a follow. You keep up with a whole lot of the things that we're doing over there as well.
I don't think I'm following you on Facebook. I'll have to do that. I'll help bring that number up there. So I do a lot. Well, I do a lot of Facebook with my business here in Bryan County,
right?
With the Bryan County Patriot, the newspaper. But I haven't done as much on sports. I'll help you out. Wave. Shout out to Tool Envy's giving us a wave tonight. So
there you go. What's up, Tool Envy?
Glad you showed up. Appreciate that. Okay. Well, that's it. So we're thank you so much, Coach Mingo. Doug?
Yeah, October 31st. Don't forget, we're still figuring out where we're going to be on October 31st.
Yeah, we have not ruled out Mayville State.
Yes,
we have not ruled out Fremont, Nebraska. We have not ruled out any of those places. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Anywhere in Florida either.
We have not ruled. We have
much warmer places.
We have not ruled out Florida either. No,
where we're going to go. And what Joey's costume's going to be. Those are the two things that are pressing questions.
You're looking at a short sleeve collared shirt pretty much. And if it's a day that ends in Y. And I don't know if you noticed, but even under the Seattle jersey, did you notice there was still a short sleeve collared shirt under the jersey last week? It made an appearance.
I don't pay enough attention to what
it made an appearance.
Go.
All right. Well, Coach Aaron Mingo.
Yes.
Great guest tonight. We appreciate him. Tool Envy, Randy, Matt, we appreciate all of you guys for stopping by the chat tonight. And for everyone else who has been a part of the broadcast, we appreciate you so much. Oh, here we go. Here we go, Doug.
There you go, Matt. We appreciate it. Look, we need the community out in full force next week, the next couple of weeks too, because I'm going to need a lot to help get through this. It is going to be a community-driven show, I promise you.
Yeah, and I listen, Doug's going to bring in some great guests, so I know it's going to be awesome. And I hope that if I'm able to pull over, that Doug sees my little window show up, so he'll bring me up into the chat too. I hope, or bring me
Absolutely,
up
I
into the
will,
video
yep.
too. All right.
I'm
Well,
gonna have a
Doug,
window on my puppy dog too. That's who's gonna have. She's gonna have her little window. So
if hey, Doug, okay, this is my closing remark. Do you ever watch Star Trek?
okay,
That's
no,
not a hard question, Doug. You
I
took
know,
your
but
cap off and had to think about that.
I
That's not a hard question.
But this has been something that's battled me my entire life, is because I've never watched any of the Star Wars, and I've not watched the Star Trek, the old ones or the new ones. I never have. And so it ultimately ends up getting me in grief because I mix them up a lot too.
Okay.
And so
For
no.
anyone
Yeah.
who's watched Star Trek, as they say in the original series and Next Generation, we do watch Star Trek around here. And I will say, I'll hand it off. Doug, you have the con. And we will close with that. Doug is he is in the captain's seat, and he has the con for next Sunday. So for Doug Gann, I'm Joey McWilliams. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you all so much. And be a big part of the community next week for Doug. Have a great night. God bless you.